Urinary tract infections are extremely common. Around 1 in 2 women and 1 in 20 men will get a UTI in their lifetime. Plus, once you've had one UT challenge, you're way more susceptible to another in the future. That's why you just need Just Thrive's UT123. This product can actually prevent UTIs while maintaining your urinary tract health. UT123 targets both immediate and long-term relief. We've all heard to drink cranberry juice for your urinary tract, but did you know that for the full effects, you need the whole cranberry? Not just juice, but the skin, flesh, and even the seeds. Well, UT123 uses superior ingredients that utilizes the whole fruit. This supplement truly is the full package. So if you're someone who struggles with the constant urge to urinate, a burning feeling when you pee, pelvic pain, or just want to be proactive in your urinary health, Just Thrive is for you. Just Thrive is so confident you'll love their product that there is a 100% money-back guarantee on every purchase made through justthrivehealth.com. And for a limited time, you can save 20% off site-wide at justthrivehealth.com with promo code SEXWITHEMILY. That's justthrivehealth.com and use code SEXWITHEMILY for 20% off your order. You're going to love it. Listen, alcohol is just out in 2024. There is a rising trend of going alcohol-free or being sober curious, and alcohol, the truth is, it's just bad for you and can famously impair your sex life. So if you're looking for another way to unwind, relax, or just have fun, I cannot recommend Via's THC gummies enough. Via has gummies for every occasion. Whether it's to improve your sleep, I love their sleep gummies. I take them everywhere. Your mood or your focus. They even have an aphrodisiac gummy called High Love to boost my arousal levels. High Love has a unique blend of cannabinoids and aphrodisiac exotic herbs that are known for their libido enhancing effects. So I've been using Via for a while now, and I absolutely love them. They're a super trusted company. They use premium hemp, natural ingredients, and they're known for their premium indoor THCA flower. All their products are made here in the US. They got quick and discreet shipping to all 50 states, so you can all enjoy them, not to worry. And also super affordable. So head over to viahemp.com and use code Emily at checkout to save 15% off your order. That's VIIAHEMP.com. Use code Emily at checkout for 15% off your order and let me know what you think.
Hey, Emily, you got a boyfriend? Because my man E here, he just got his heart broken. He thinks you're kind of cute.
A girl's got to have her standards. Oh, my.
Do women know about shrinkage?
Isn't it common knowledge?
What do you mean, like laundry? It shrinks?
Can we not talk about sex so much?
Are you kidding me?
Oh, my God, I feel so good.
Being bad feels pretty good. But you know, Emily's not the kind of girl you just play with.
You're listening to Sex with Emily. We're talking about sex, relationships, and everything in between. For more information, go to sexwithemily.com where you can listen to all of our podcasts. And we guarantee you that your sex life will improve when you listen to Sex with Emily. That's just how it happens, right, Menace?
Yes, it will.
I know. We love it.
Sorry. I'm using a different microphone today, so.
Oh, you are? How's that going for you?
A little weird, but I can handle it.
You can hang with it. Today's show, we have, if you're watching us, because as you know, you can watch our show, you can listen to our show, you can do lots of different things with our show. I have Carol Queen sitting here. And Carol Queen is a sexologist. She's a writer and a speaker. She's the staff sexologist at Good Vibrations, which is one of the most amazing stores that you've ever been to in San Francisco and Boston and now Oakland and Berkeley. And I feel like you've been a mentor to me. And the first time Carol was on the show was probably about 6 years ago, and I was nervous and still get a little nervous. She knows everything about everything.
Was that your kitchen table?
Yeah.
I think it was your kitchen table.
That was my kitchen table.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I feel like I know you. I've heard so much about you.
You have,
all
but
the
she
time.
was on the show
like,
when we were live. Right.
Yeah, no,
She's
you talk about her all the
amazing.
time on the
I know.
show.
I do talk about you all the time.
Thank you,
So I'm
Emily.
just always so honored when you make the time to be on the show.
I'm so happy to be here.
And it's also, to be honest, a little easier for me because there's lots of questions that come in. We got emails, we got news, and she knows a lot about a lot of things, probably about everything. So we're going to have fun today, and we're just going to be talking about, we're going to kind of we're going to talk a little about anal sex. But we've got a lot of letters from listeners, emails. We've got Sex in the News. Menace and I are going to catch up here on our weekend. Did you watch the Super Bowl?
Did you?
No. Yes. I was at a Super Bowl party. I didn't actually watch it.
Yeah. You're one of those people that just show up to the party and don't care about anything.
I was actually on my laptop the whole
on.
time. Did you watch it?
Yeah, of course I watched it.
Of course you did.
I really enjoyed the halftime show with Madonna.
Did you think it was good?
It was okay. The reason I really enjoyed it is because you probably didn't catch this, but MIA MIA flipped off the camera.
Yeah, I didn't see it. Did you
Yeah.
hear about
Oh
that?
my God.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, and I'm sure the
Sure.
FCC is going to have a field day with that.
again.
Why would she
Again.
flip off the? Why do that?
Because I don't know if you know anything about MIA, but she really doesn't give an F about anything.
Right.
She's really,
She's like, here's my one opportunity.
and
F
she,
you,
yeah,
America. Dumb.
I don't know, but anything
No, I
like
get
that happens.
she's out there and trying to her message, but she's young and it's probably just a stupid thing.
Yeah,
to do.
and what sucks is when stuff like that happens, like what should happen with Janet Jackson. For some reason, with the FCC, radio just becomes the whipping boy. Like even though that happened on television, the regulations that come down
remember.
after that is just so hardcore onto radio.
I know. Well, radio's tough.
Yeah.
When we used to be live on the radio, we did our masturbation show. We couldn't say masturbation more than
Right.
15 times.
Yeah.
I mean, more than once every 15 minutes. So then we had to use all the euphemisms for masturbation, which is actually kind of fun. We're like,
Fortunately, there are many of them.
there are many. We're
Yeah.
like, so when you were bopping your baloney, like, but yeah, there are so many regulations. We're lucky we don't have that now. We can do whatever the hell we want.
Yeah, masturbation.
Exactly.
And it sucks is because I was the guy that was controlling all that stuff, and I had to hit the button to censor it, and she
Right.
would lose her mind. I'm like, this is the time.
I wasn't good at it.
at all. She'd be like,
censoring.
"What do you mean you can't say blowjob? I
Shut
can't
up,
say."
I
and then
didn't
I would be
say
like,
that.
and then I would hit the button, and she goes, "What? You can't say blowjob?" She would say it again. I had to hit the button. It would. I
Those
seriously.
are good times,
it
Menace.
took years off of my life.
Well, the thing is, though, I think it's good for people to remember out in listener land
Yes.
that we really do live in a country that tweaks out about these kinds of
I
things.
know.
Yeah.
And you have to
every once in a while, a little reminder.
Isn't it called like page 8 or something like that in Europe, where it's just a regular newspaper, and then on the 8th page, there's this pornography, or there's
Naked ladies and
naked
stuff.
ladies.
Yep.
And
No,
stuff.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Probably. That doesn't surprise me.
No, I think
I think it
it's
is. No, we're just,
Well, over here, oh my
we're just
god,
we're just a country of conflicts.
the Golden Gate Bridge would fall down, and everything would crumble around us if there was a
Exactly.
nude woman in the newspaper.
I know, exactly. The thing I got to talk about real quickly, though, is that we're kicking off. Carol Queen, is so great that you're here because you're kicking off our Valentine's Day 2 weeks, basically, or not even 2 weeks now. We've got like 10 days, right? We're having a huge Valentine's Spread the Love contest. And to celebrate, we're giving away baskets of premium toys and products as grand prizes, as well as smaller prizes. So you can get the most out of Valentine's Day and night. And there are 2 ways to enter. You can enter as many times as you wish. First, you follow us on Twitter or Facebook, Sex with Emily. And all you have to do, so simple, is retweet us or reshare our posts. And the more you do that, the more times you get entered to win. And Good Vibrations is I just got an amazing box of stuff from them to give away.
Camilla knows how to do it.
Camilla, it's like these beautiful Valentine's Day baskets. And my entire office is sex toys right now that we are giving away. So that's how you got to do to enter. We just want you to retweet and reshare and do all that stuff, and we'll pick a winner. And we
That
got
way,
some great toys, yeah.
no matter what your Valentine's Day looks like partner-wise,
Right.
you can still have a lovely, sexy Valentine's Day. I think that's
Exactly.
quite fabulous.
We should talk about that too, because it's true that Valentine's Day. So what if you don't have a partner? It doesn't mean like, oh, you don't have anything to do. Like, love yourself, have some fun,
Love the one you're with, people.
love the one you're with.
And you get all the information at sexwithemily.com.
Oh, it's at sexwithemily.com. Exactly. We have a banner up now that says Valentine's Day giveaway.
What?
Which would have been easier than me explaining it, is what you're saying, Menace.
No,
you're
just
trying
so
to say
it's
it's all there.
People might not have a pen on hand to get all the information.
they don't have a pen.
So.
How was your mom? I need to know.
It was cool. It was cool hanging out with my mom over the weekend.
Yeah.
We went back to our hometown in the Bay Area, which is Newark, California. And she went off and hung out with her friends, and I drove around my town, and it was kind of depressing.
Yeah.
Because none of my friends
Live there?
stayed there.
Right.
Unlike you say in Michigan, a lot of your friends stayed there and got married.
Yeah.
My friends just up and left.
Fucked,
They're all
yeah.
over the country, and it was just okay. I drove around my neighborhood really quick. It's not that big, and nothing really after that. So luckily, I called some friends that were outside the area. And it's funny because I get to see how suburban life is
Right.
when you do that.
Right.
And what
Boring.
people do on a Saturday.
It's terrible.
And they all just hang out in a house and just drink and go crazy.
They do?
Oh yeah.
They drink in their house.
Like,
I thought they go to
it was
the
a
malls and
beautiful-
watch
it was-
movies.
It was beautiful, like weather outside,
Right.
so everyone were just like out on the patio.
Oh, so they were outside
and
drinking. They weren't inside drinking.
all the stuff.
That's better if it's sunny. At least if you're going to be drinking all day and it's sunny, you should be outside.
And this guy whose house we're at, he's a doctor. And apparently I met this guy before, and maybe when I was intoxicated because I have no idea who he was.
Right.
But
Probably.
he knew who I was, and he's like, oh, man, come on, come out here. And we go out to his garage, and he has like this souped-up Porsche. It's like a $140,000 Porsche, right? This crazy fast. And he's like, here, man, you want to drive it? I'm like, nah, I'm cool. And he's like, come on, let's take a ride. And I'm like, I didn't really want to. Next thing we know, we're like out on the street going like over 100 plus miles an hour.
Okay.
And I drive like a grandma. So I'm
Right.
like crapping my pants the
Right.
entire time. Like, why do guys do that?
You're
I
a
don't-
dude. I don't know.
I'm just not into that.
You're not into the
you know,
fast
Are
speed
you
cars?
impressed by that?
No,
as a female?
no,
Or do you know
no.
females that are impressed by guys
Some
that are
must
driving
be.
100,000 miles an hour?
That scares the crap
Yeah,
out of me
I
too.
was like, I thought I was gonna die.
Yeah.
I
I
think
did not
some
like it.
people have a little fetish for speed. Actually,
they
there's
do.
like the physical sensation for them is exciting in a way that can merge into erotically exciting, which I guess is where the dates come from.
Yeah.
or end up or something with fast cars as a chick magnet.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. There are a lot of chicks. I'm not into the guy with the car or whatever. I've never been that kind of girl, but I could see that being like a total aphrodisiac for some woman, right?
Not me.
Not you, honey.
I was totally flaccid during that whole car trip.
I'm so
I didn't like it.
Was your mom with you there at the car
No,
trip?
no,
I don't
no.
get it.
She
You
was
dumped
out.
her. She was seeing
Yeah.
friends. Okay.
So I was hanging out with some of my friends, and so over the, so that's what happened to me over the weekend. But can I go to something really quick?
Yes.
I heard you talking about before we started the show was the antique vibrator
Yes.
thing. I actually, we were hanging out there not too long ago.
Good Vibrations?
Good Vibrations.
When I was doing the
one-
kissing workshop.
Yeah, that was on was
Polk Street.
Polk Street. I took a picture of the. It says antique vibrator
Right.
museum on the door. I took a picture of that, and it was very popular online.
I am so glad to hear that because,
Yeah.
Actually, it won't be Good Vibes already has our antique vibrator museum, which is in almost all of our stores.
Okay.
Several shelves of antique vibrators are on display. But sometimes people want like more of a museum just
Right.
than that. And so that is in the works right now.
I love that.
Sweet.
Got
What
a new
is
little
an antique
logo.
vibrator? I feel like I have some antique vibrators, but they're probably not really.
No.
Well,
No, this stuff
I
looked
want to
like-
say that those
I'm
of us who
kidding.
are over, some age,
Right.
some of our first vibrators, if they still are extant,
Yes.
might be antiques by now. Certainly mine.
Right.
Because, in fact, my first vibrator was an antique because I stole it from my parents' hall closet. And it was made at the latest in the early 1950s, possibly
Wow.
earlier.
Wow.
And because my dad was a barber in the early 1950s, and they used to go, he would
Right.
give you a little head massage,
Okay.
the guys, with these Swedish massagers that go on the back of your hand, strap on there, and then make your whole hand vibrate. So that was my first
How
vibrator.
did you know just to do that?
I read an article in, I believe it was Mademoiselle.
Okay.
I think that's the magazine it was in 1973, featuring Betty Dodson talking about vibrators. I think the earliest one
Right.
like that there was. I stumbled upon it. I was like, I think that thing down in the hall closet might be a vibrator. Because, as a kid, I
Right.
looked all over.
Right.
I was about, I was maybe 14
Okay.
when I grabbed it, and they never asked for it back.
No,
Which is
thank
super
God.
sad. Well,
Right.
thank God, but also super sad because that probably means that they had not discovered its charms.
Right, exactly.
Because if my orgasm machine went missing from the hall closet,
Right.
if I had any kids, I would interrogate the kids immediately.
Exactly.
Like after checking to see if the house had been broken into.
Right.
I would go
exactly.
interrogate the kids.
Exactly.
But no.
But no.
I
Well,
was
they didn't know. They
interrogated.
never. Most people don't think
Evidently.
like that. Right.
Evidently.
Yeah.
That's
Some of the
just-
stuff that I saw looked medieval.
Not quite.
medieval times.
But,
or like early,
but
like it looks like you guys.
early 20th century.
Yeah, it looked like you were recovering it from the 1906 earthquake.
What kind of things
Could
are
have
they-
been, as a matter of fact.
What
yeah.
are the antique vibrators? What do they look like?
Okay, so they, if you can imagine what a drill would have looked like in 1905 without a drill bit.
Okay.
Or a hairdryer would have looked like in 1905. And then you put a little round ball on the end.
Okay.
That's kind of what the really old ones tend to look like.
Yeah, it definitely looked
you
like a
hold them in your
hairdryer.
hand. It has kind of a little protruding nose. There's usually a ball or a disc on the end. And vibrators were used in the late 19th century, electric vibrators, and before that, hand crank ones.
Okay.
Crazy, like your great grandma's thing that she whipped cream with in the kitchen in the 1950s, like that. Were used on women who had been diagnosed with hysteria, to treat their hysteria with hysterical paroxysms of relief. Also known as, wow, that was a good orgasm.
Right, exactly.
And it did them a lot of good, and it made a lot of doctors, I think, fairly wealthy, probably because you had to come back every week or so, right?
Oh,
or else
yeah,
you would feel
I'd come back every
lousy
day.
again.
Exactly.
And after a while, vibrators began, they were available in the home. You could get them through the mail order catalogs of all kinds. They were never talked about sex. They talked about health. But the kind of health that you could get from them, in many cases, involved clitoral stimulation. So if that's sex, or if it's not, whatever, that kind of health. And it wasn't until the 1920s or so when they started showing up in blue movies, that the jig was up. And about a decade later, doctors kind of stopped using them in their offices.
Oh, they were so disappointed.
In 1952, they voted hysteria out of the medical books. They said it is no longer a disease, and hysteria had been considered a disease since at least the time of Galen.
Wow.
The great Greek physician before the Common Era.
So why did they rule it a hysteria for women? I've read about that so many times. I've heard about it, but why did they just said that they just need an orgasm?
Well, that would imply that women had
were hysterical.
sexual needs comparable to men, and
Right.
that wasn't believed.
Right. Okay.
And nor was it supported in general. I mean, almost certainly some of these doctors knew that it was an orgasm, and it looks likely that some of these doctors did not know that it was an orgasm.
Probably not.
There's not a ton of information about this, but if the doctors were writing up their notes, they weren't writing "gave her a big old orgasm." That's not what
exactly.
Right? So it's not totally clear. At a certain, hysteria was a well-established diagnosis. There was a point in the Enlightenment era when a major European doctor and thinker said 75% of all cases of illness in the Western world are attributable to hysteria. I mean, they totally believed in it.
Wow.
And then all of a sudden, 1952, boom, it's gone. There's no such thing anymore.
Wow, that's crazy.
Was there any brands that were
Brands of vibrators?
that came out like you would think, Mitsubishi had one like in 1930, but name brands that
The
we
brand,
Hitachi, right?
Hitachi. We began to get access to Hitachi magic wands, very very similar to the Hitachi that we know now. Pretty much the exact same thing in the
company?
60s. Hitachi, same people who make rice cookers, earth movers, and your television. Yep.
What?
Yeah.
The
always wanted to know if it was
Hitachi
the same.
Corporation, same one. Yes, absolutely.
No way.
The big Japanese corporation Hitachi. Love them. And to answer your question, Menace, Hamilton Beach, one of the first big companies manufacturing electric goods that threw down with vibrators right around the turn of the 20th century. Many of the antique vibrators, if you go dig around on eBay and you either look at vintage or antique, vibrator or massager or quack medical. That's where you find them. And because of course they did away with the disease, then anything that cured it or treated it would not be a legitimate medical item anymore. You'll find bunches of Hamilton Beach. There were several other companies early in the 20th century too, but that's one that we all, we've seen a kitchen appliance with that name on it, almost all of us.
So when's the Good Vibrations Museum going to be open?
I don't know exactly, but it'll be within a couple of months.
Okay,
It'll
cool.
be this spring sometime, and it's very exciting. We just opened a store in
Oakland.
Oaklandia.
That was a crazy
on
party.
Lake
I
Shore.
wish that Max was there. That was so great.
That was dense. And we had Candy Burris from Real
Right.
Housewives of Atlanta.
Candy Burris.
Or Hotlanta, as some people like to call it. And people came out to see her.
Oh my God. I drove up and I was like, I could
Line
not believe lying
around
around
the
the
block.
corner.
Crazy.
Thank God I'm pressed. I would not have gotten in. I was like, seriously? I could not believe it. I was so happy. Candy was on our show the day before. She was great.
I heard she was
and
wonderful with you.
And I got one of her vibrators, they gave me at the store, the lipstick.
Which
At
is
the store
perfect
bought.
because those vibrators are connected up with your source of music. You can plug them into your MP3
It's like the
player,
Oh My
your
Bod is their
iPhone, or your
partner.
Oh My Bod are the people who are actually making it. And then Candy designed a bunch of new styles of vibrator to go with that interface, which nobody else does.
I think it's going to do really well. I'm very excited about that. That was a fun party.
You love the one that looks like a compact, right?
Yeah, that was a cool one.
Yeah.
It looks like you're powdering your face.
Yeah.
Because it also, you can put it over your hand. It has that the hand strap in a different way. I kind of liked it. I thought that was cool.
Kind of like my original vibrator back in
Because I was going to say
1906,
when
but
you were describing your original vibrator, I was thinking of Candy's hand puff.
the
vibrator.
style is called Swedish massager when it straps on the hand.
Oh,
Although
okay,
Candy is
good.
not Swedish, to my
No,
knowledge.
we know that, but still. Okay, should we move on to a little bit of sex in the news? We just got a little bit today.
Yeah, go for
I
it.
didn't know if there was anything. Menace, one of these you actually sent to me. San Francisco called best city to find a date.
Awesome.
I read the title
Is
and
that
I sent it to
true?
you right away.
I know. Never fear. San Francisco was deemed the best dating city in the country by dating site HowAboutWe.com. The site pairs singles by finding good matches between their proposed first date ideas rather than their personal profiles. San Francisco ranked first, mainly because singles who propose dates in the city saw a 20% higher response rate than any other U.S. city.
Because the people are not dating, they're just hooking up on
No,
that.
I don't know. How about we? They're proposing, people who propose their dates in the city saw, I don't know. You think maybe they're hooking up, but it's still a date's a date. Who are you to say?
Okay, I guess so. I mean, I think when I think of a date, I don't think of just like hooking up. I think of like, the
Going
whole-
out to dinner. And
Yeah, going
all
out
that.
to dinner. That's
Yeah.
a date.
I don't know. It doesn't say that. It does not say date. You're
I think
extrapolating.
How about we is just like Grindr, where they go, okay, you want to hook up? We'll hook up.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think it's good news for people who complain that every city they live, everywhere people go, they complain that it's the worst city to date. In New York, Chicago, San Francisco, LA. So we find out that we actually are a good city. This should be uplifting. This should be good news. We should raise the flags.
This also implies that if you have a creative idea for a date, you could actually set yourself out from the crowd a little bit.
Right.
And, creative ideas, they're not a dime a dozen. So
no, they're
good.
not.
So good
What-
for that.
Have you heard any good creative date ideas lately?
Well, there are so many things to do. I mean, if you feel like hooking up with someone, you can go to interesting places to do that.
Right.
So that would be a variant. Mm-hmm. You could mash this idea up.
Right.
And, and a lot of that would be sort of exhibitionism tinged as well, of course.
Right.
Let's go do it on the Golden Gate Bridge. Or
Right.
I'm sure that stops traffic. I suppose I shouldn't recommend
Right,
that.
don't recommend that. It's probably
And
legal or
when I talk
something.
about exhibitionism, I always want to remind people to do it consensually, namely not in front of people who would be freaked out.
Right.
Because those are the people who write to the FCC
Yeah.
and want to get MIA, et cetera, in trouble
Yep.
when they do, or, whether
it's
Janet
so-
Jackson wanted to have the nipple malfunction or not.
She
the
did.
nipple ring malfunction.
Right.
Clearly, it brought those people out of the woodwork. And if they were not bothered all the time,
Right.
perhaps they would stay in the woodwork and enjoy themselves doing whatever they like to do and let
Exactly.
those of us who want to go fool around in the Golden Gate Bridge do it. But
Exactly.
Those people need to have sex. The ones that are so uptight like
Exactly.
that. Or they do. They always come out as they're the ones that are like super crazy sex addicts. The ones that are so anti-sex. in that-
Exactly.
yeah.
because they're worried about being triggered. Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, maybe.
Well, that's an interesting theory.
Yes.
Perhaps.
It's true.
I had a theory called calling people absexuals, absexual,
Okay.
who didn't want anything to do with this terrible pornography and homosexuality and everything else, but who can't stop talking about
Right.
it. Can't stop.
Because they're the ones who are probably repressing. They're probably the ones who are watching, right?
Argument
Yeah.
to be made for that, although testing this is really, really hard.
What is testing it?
Well, yeah, you can't just do a double-blind study of
Right,
stuff
exactly.
like
There's
that.
not a lot of control factors, but you understand that it usually is like the Republican who is going, ever, knocking down or gay legislation is usually the one who's, was in the bathroom with the
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 other
guy getting his whatever. Okay, so MIA flips finger during halftime show. I didn't see it. I wasn't really paying attention. Did you see it?
Yeah, I saw it right when it happened.
She went like that, like for how
Yeah.
long? Like
really quick, and then they try to blur it out.
Big deal.
But, oh yeah, Madonna, she kind of slid, but she wasn't the best dancer on there, but there was still some things that she did was kind of risky. She like moves to do, like she did
Flipped
like this,
over.
cartwheels and stuff like that. She always did risky stuff like that.
Right.
Like I remember during the MTV movie where she was, I don't know what you call it, but kind of like a geisha, but she looked like an English geisha or whatever the way that she was she was dressed up. But she did she did a trick on there that I will never forget. She had one of those fans, and she flipped the fan in midair and caught it again.
Wow.
I go, that's pretty risky. To flip a fan like that and then be able to catch it right away.
That is good.
On
she was
national
being flipped
television.
all around,
Yeah.
and she was like on the bleachers in 6-inch heels. I mean, you know, it was fun to watch.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
She seemed a little tame though. She was kind of moving.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That she wasn't really like. She doesn't
doing
really have
thing.
her dance moves anymore.
I know. That's what I think. No, she has them. I think she's just chilling. She's like 50-something. Good for her.
Yeah,
Whatever.
she was
She
afraid.
looked amazing.
But how much sex was going on during the football extravaganzas? I don't think very much.
Why?
But I think there was maybe a lot of hooking up afterwards.
Why do you think? Because everyone's drunk?
I was, before the game even started, I was walking around the city, and you would think it was Las Vegas. Like, everybody had beers in hand. Everyone was, holding 6 bags, just walking around. And I saw, like, some beautiful women right outside the bar, and they're just, like, chopping it up, already super wasted, talking to guys and stuff like that.
Nightmare.
I'm like, all these people are going to be hooking up after.
Yeah, probably.
After the
There's
game.
probably a lot of hooking up. I, however, did not. But I understand that people do. And the thought of being at a bar, though, with people watching a game and yelling, it smells like beer, makes me hate that.
Yeah.
Not my scene.
I do want to remind everyone, although, awesome Super Bowl is obviously a holiday for many people and gets people very excited. And excitability of any kind can lead to people wanting to hook up or have sex with their partners or whatever.
Right.
But I just want to remind everybody, you don't have to get drunk to have sex.
Exactly.
I just want to remind people.
Because
there are people who forget that.
Menace forgets that sometimes.
Sometimes being in an alcohol-soaked environment is conducive, but then you don't necessarily have the best sex, nor do you have the best recollection of the sex you had, which if it wasn't that good maybe is a blessing. But on the other hand, don't you want to keep track of yourself when you're doing these things, I would think. I don't know.
Yeah.
Just a sexologist talking here.
I'm working on it with Menace.
I was building a table while the Super Bowl was going on.
Okay, so
With
you weren't
saws?
A table set. No, I was just like screwing everything together.
screwing things.
I was
you were still screwing things.
Yeah, I made 2. It wasn't IKEA. It was Target, and
good.
had some chairs and everything. I got blisters on my hand. I was working so hard.
Oh, that's hot. Some
that
girls
was my
might find that attractive.
my
That
Super
sounds
Bowl
fun.
time.
Okay.
While everyone else was partying. I
Sounds
was making
good.
a table.
I was at a party where I was only going to stop by for 5 minutes. I stayed for an hour and a half, but I ended up working on my laptop the whole time, so I kind of missed the
So
game.
everyone thought you were a downer because everyone
Kind
was
of, they know
partying?
me. It was like my best friends. Like there was a really fun party. I'm like, hi guys, love you, mean it. Got to go to the table and I had to get this thing done. But okay, let's move into some emails.
All right.
Okay. Dear Emily, I stumbled upon your podcast last night, downloaded a bunch, and literally spent the last 9 hours today listening, laughing, and nodding my head in agreement. I'm fortunate enough to have a job where I sit at a microscope grading diamonds and can veg out with headphones on. My boyfriend of a few years tinkers on the verge of sex addiction, and I'm lucky enough that he's addicted to having it with just me. But sometimes it's overwhelming, and I feel a lot of pressure to have sex just to meet his needs and keep him happy. I enjoy sex, but don't need it nearly as often as he does, and it sometimes creates a lot of anxiety. We've talked it out many times. We're pretty good at the communication is a lubrication. But how do you come to a compromise when one person wants it once a day and the other person wants it once a week, if that? I feel like this issue of sex is the only roadblock we've consistently come to every few months, and I'm not sure what to do. I could just suck it up and get down and dirty more often, but I feel that I wouldn't be doing it for the right reasons. And in the end, I might resent him for getting it his way. Any suggestions? Love your show and can't wait for another full day of you on Monday. There's no name attached. Anonymous.
Well, thank you for finding the show.
Thank you so much for
I wonder
finding
how
it.
you
Sounds
found
awesome.
it, what you were typing in.
Oh, yeah. We always want to know when you email us. We want to know, yeah, exactly. How'd you find the show? But how you listened to us and how you found us. Just let us know. So what do you think about this? I'm sure you talk a lot about like sex addiction and the mismatched libidos. And what would you say, Carol?
Well,
Carol Queen.
I think in my world that wanting to have sex once a day is not necessarily sex addiction. It's being in the throes of heavy desire relatively early in a relationship.
Right.
I mean, it doesn't sound like this person has been with this person for 15 or 20 years.
Right, exactly.
It's a little newer than that. And
A few years they've been together.
and I think that while people should not have sex when they don't want to have sex, I also think that encouraging partner to take things well in hand and maybe, buying him a special toy for the purpose or something like that so that he knows he's got your blessing. And really trying to bring your desire when you can and not just do it for the wrong reasons, but also it sounds like she feels like he's getting his needs met. And she's not feeling like she's getting her needs met.
Exactly.
I want to know what she would like to be doing differently that boyfriend and she are not doing. And I would like to see more of that in bed. And then I think she'd like going to bed quicker. This is one of the most common issues that sex therapists see in couples is desire discrepancy. It's so common.
Exactly. Mismet, right. How do you, and it is all about talking. She says they're good at talking, but maybe they're just not having the right conversation about what she needs. Okay. Thank you. I agree. Okay. Kegel exercises. So funny story. I found out about the Kegel on my own. I was having sex and I'm the farthest from unresponsive. I tense up a lot and my guy loved it. It took me a while to be able to control it, but with practice, I am now able to tighten around him whenever I feel like it. We've kind of made it a game. He'll fully penetrate me, and at 9 inches, it's bliss. I'll tighten around him and he jerks inside me. We keep doing this until one of us can't control ourselves anymore. It's really spice of our sex life. I hope this helps. Savon King from Modesto. She's been retweeting us a lot for the contest. We were probably talking about Kegels because of Kegel Camp. I have an app for the iPhone called Kegel Camp. It reminds you, we have an update. It's updating next week. We have an update. Everyone, there's been some issues with Kegel Camp. Not issues, just people wanted updates. They wanted more levels. They wanted more challenges. And we are re-releasing it next week on iTunes. You will get updates or you can just buy it.
So it tells people when it's time to do their Kegels?
Yes. It actually says,
great.
It says time for Kegel Camp. And it's a really cool app. I'll show it to you. And then it's my voice walking you through tense, relax.
Oh, you have it
tense.
on your phone?
Yeah, I finally got it.
Really?
I just got an iPhone.
You know how long she had her app out and without an iPhone? It was
Wow.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Well, that is a fabulous
Camp,
thing.
See? How do you make it talk right away, Menace, when you do that?
Branded to you. Very nice.
Yeah, it's fun. So anyway, Kegels are important. Kegels are so important for men and women. And it's amazing how many men, because people are like, oh, that's for women. But men can really, all the time, men can improve from doing Kegels. What does that mean? So they,
Relax.
That's how it sounds.
That's how it sounds. Okay, thanks, Menace. Appreciate it. See? Relax. Okay.
That is
anyway,
awesome.
Yeah, you got to start telling people.
I'm so glad that you're telling people to relax, not just to squeeze down. Because if all you do is just tense a muscle, you don't get the full function of the muscle.
But I'm not BSing people. How much can Kegel exercises help men, for example?
They can make a difference in how firm the erection a man gets might be. They can probably make some difference, if not a lot of difference, in how long a guy can last,
Yes.
how much control he has.
Yes.
And one of the things about Kegels that is a little bit, we talk about that kind of stuff. It's the degree of strength of squeeze of those muscles when you have an orgasm. That's the Kegel muscles that you're feeling pulsing during orgasm. So if you have wussy little orgasms, it's almost certainly, like if you don't have any orgasms at all, there may be more going on than just Kegels.
Right.
But if you're having wussy little orgasms, Kegels are one of the main things that you could do to improve them. That and go longer in your stimulation before you actually come.
Exactly.
Extend the time that you actually stimulate.
They're amazing. I'm going to start doing my own Kegel camp now that I have
Let's do them
the iPhone.
now.
Let's do now. One.
All right, listeners, let's do them.
Let's do them. Tense. Relax. Okay, we'll move on. Emily, can't tell you how much I love your show. In fact, I think I'm totally addicted. I listen through iTunes podcast in my car on the way to work each day. Far more informative and entertaining than the crap on the radio we get down under. Just had to write as I listened to the January 31st Bittersweet show that was all over the place at the start, which was fantastic and totally entertaining. And then one of the most moving moments I've ever experienced as you read the message from a listener that had sex with his wife for the last time. It was truly moving. In fact, I had tears rolling down my face whilst driving, and I really felt for you and Menace having to do it live. The show was cut short, which I think was appropriate and honorable. I thank you for your commitment, your dedication, and most of all, your connection with your listeners. You are truly magnificent. That's so sweet. All the best, Andrew from Queensland, Australia. He's a freemium. He's a friends with benefits member. We so appreciate that.
That's awesome.
P.S. Menace rocks.
Thank you.
And always keeps it real. You guys make an amazing team. Keep up the outstanding work. So we had this email, Carol, last week, and it was very touching, and I hadn't read it, the full email beforehand. I'm going to admit it. I was just reading it, and this guy said that he was listening to my show. His wife had cancer, and he had been listening to my show about it was from years ago, about the top turn-ons for men and women, and I was said something about like do a striptease, I think was one of them, and he said, well, it was for men who wanted the striptease, but I did it for her. And he did a striptease for her, and it was the last time they had sex, and it was really good sex, and then she died, and so we were reading it, and we were like, oh, we didn't know. It's sad.
I know.
But bittersweet.
I know.
But yeah.
Thanks. Oh, and then can I say something real quick? On Friday, once in a while I do these things on Twitter, and I say, hey, for the next 30 minutes, I'm going to reply to every single message that I get. And last Friday, I had a ton of Sex with Emily listeners hit me up.
Really?
So,
What'd they say? What'd they ask you?
They're just asking me about you and about the show and stuff like that. So it was really cool. So anytime I do that, feel free to send me a message.
What'd they ask you? Give me an example.
That was on Friday. Gosh, you think I can remember it?
I don't know.
Oh, how come the same question? How come you and I don't date? Oh, how's Emily in real life? It's all about what they said about her, not about.
Well, honey, it's my ego. It helps.
Yes,
okay.
You love it. But anyways, yeah, you should do that too. Just
that's a good thing to do.
If you're sitting at the computer, to say, hey, I'm going to reply back to every single message for the next 30 minutes.
And how many you got? Tons? Really? That's amazing. Okay.
Yeah, it's really fun.
I like it. But
it's
even
like
though
a
you
Q&A.
can't. It's Q&A.
Yeah.
Okay. Carol, this keeps coming up. Anal sex question. I just thought you'd be the right person.
Anal sex is so hot right now. And really, in the media and stuff like that, it is.
Why?
It's in.
It's in.
It's so in. Like my friend just said anal's the new blowjob. And I was like, well, I mean, they're
I don't
both
know about
around.
all that, but
No, but it's in the sense of it's like, and it's been a
People
few
talking
years out.
about it,
People
yeah.
talking about it, people questioning, people wanting to know. Like, I was with a friend in Michigan, and people in Michigan are a little more conservative. And he was like, oh, what's this? He's just newly divorced after married for 15 years. And he's like, I have one question for you. Why do all the girls want to have anal sex? He's like, I don't get it. So all the women. So what are your suggestions? Like, first of all, what do you think that is? Do you think it's pornography? Do you think it's? I mean, it's been around, obviously.
It certainly has been around. I think probably
the anus
for
is a new thing.
millennia.
Exactly.
And of course, almost everyone has an anus, and
Right.
the anus is richly surrounded and with nerve endings. So there are many reasons why people like anal sex, and one of them actually is because for some people it's an alternative method of birth control.
Right.
Want to say while I'm saying that it's not necessarily a safer sex form of birth
Right,
control,
right.
Depending on what kind of cooties one person might have and give to the other, that's always a possibility.
Not to cut you off, but that's so
Sure.
funny that you say that, because I never believed this. But there's a huge rumor that in Brazil, like Brazilian women, they'll like let you have anal sex with them, but you can't do
Regular sex because
regular
it's not,
sex
right.
because
I've
you
heard
know,
that.
they won't do it before
And I've heard it
marriage and
other
stuff
places.
like that.
I've heard about that in other places too, and that is almost certainly, probably not ubiquitous in some cultures, but it's
Right.
you see it, and you see it in the U.S. too.
Well, in the U.S., I hear it's reversed. They call it the marriage hole. The way they save it for marriage.
Is that one of those you'll put a ring on it and then
You put
Yeah.
a thing in it. Put
yeah,
your ding in it.
funny?
Anyways.
That's funny.
This is what I hear on the streets. That's
Well,
all.
and I also
Menace
think
of the
that
streets, yeah.
there's a good deal of just sort of social buzz that happens around sexuality. Always did. I think it's partly porn, but I don't
Right.
think that's only porn. I think that individual people sort of watching porn solo or maybe in their couples don't all like sort of light on fire with something all at the same time, because there's been a lot of anal sex in porn for
Yeah,
at
for
least
years.
20 years.
Exactly.
So it's not like somebody just started to put lots of anal sex in porn. It's been there.
Okay, so what are your suggestions for trying it out for the first time? Let's say a man and a woman. We'll start with that.
Well, I think that this is actually what I'm about to say is going to be relevant for any gender combination, or even
Okay.
somebody deciding that they want
Exactly. It
to
could
party
be
by
anything.
themselves
and
at
bend over
home.
boyfriend. Carol, I want to get into that too
Yeah.
because Carol's infamous for a bend over boyfriend.
Yes.
Yes.
But let me start. Let me start by saying that there are three main things to think about when you're thinking about starting to do anal sex, or even, you've done it before, but you're going to do it again.
Right.
And one of them is that the person who is being inserted into anally has got to be relaxed. The anus does tighten up. Many people have heard that anal sex always hurts. And in fact, a lot of porn, like written porn and stuff, and some porn that you would see in video-wise, tries to just sort of take that and turn it into an erotic plot point and make it be hot in an SM kind of way. That's not what I would recommend ever.
Right. Okay.
If you want to have pain that's hot in an SM kind of way, great. But learn how to do it without pain first, because pain with anal sex is a signal that there is some damage happening. If something's going wrong, it's not supposed to hurt badly at all.
Okay.
So one of the ways that you can guarantee that it will be it will hurt less is by using enough lubricant.
Lube.
And
Lots of
lube is not spit. I've met some people who just get some lube. Get some lube.
Right.
And don't get one of those little tiny packages of lube. Get a darn bottle of lube.
Right. With like a pump on it or something.
And
I love the pump lubes.
The pump lubes are great.
I got a gasoline truck.
Nice.
To my house later.
They should actually make a lube dispenser that looks like a little gasoline truck. That would be so butch. That would be so cute. Some inventor go with that. I think that would be adorable. Then communicate with your partner. Don't just do the silent sex thing. So many people have sex in complete silence, and the most communication they get is little grunts or moans, or people trying to stop you from going so fast by moving their body in such a way that it's harder to do it. That's communication, but it's not adequate for this. To do it right, to do it with pleasure for both parties, talk about it. Let the person who is being inserted into say when to go faster, when to stop. And the other thing to think about is that you're not sticking a body part or toy or whatever into another person's butt. They're putting their butt onto the body part, finger, or toy, or whatever it is. They're relaxing.
You got to relax.
You bear down a little bit, and then it just sort of fits together in a way that if you try to poke in, there is a reflex that just goes and just tightens down.
So how do you relax? Breathe.
You breathe.
Deep breaths.
If you are freaked out about cleanliness, you take a bath or you take a rinse before you do it, so that you don't have to be all paranoid about is it dirty,
Right.
Because some people care about that very much and can't relax. You do this bearing down thing, because while you're breathing out and bearing down, you can't be tense. So breath is a very important part of this.
I would say.
And again, if you're too cold, if you're in the backseat of the car and a cop's walking up towards you, I mean, if anything that makes you tense and nervous, try to make that not be what you do, especially the first time, but really the 100th time too.
Okay.
It makes such a difference. And people who love anal sex really love it. But if you started out wrong, maybe it's the marriage hole, but you're not going to get a lot of play with it.
Exactly.
If you are too eager, too busy, and you don't think about how you're approaching the person.
Okay. That sounds good. Right, Menace?
Yeah, it does.
You ready to do it? Well, not
All
with
the
me.
time. No.
What about, so Carol created, it's a DVD, right? First, called Bend Over Boyfriend. It's infamous. It was probably the first video that was ever created about.
I think so.
Or one of them, or the most popular,
certainly
the most well done.
Certainly the first sex ed video.
Right, for sex ed videos, about penetrating a man anally.
Right,
which isn't as common in heterosexual
it's
couples.
getting popular though, right?
Well, yeah.
Did you make it popular?
I think partly the fact that the video was around helped inspire lots of people to try
Lots of people.
But if people weren't interested in doing that at all, they would not have gotten the video unless they were in frats and wanted to, show it to the new recruits and laugh and scare them. I mean, there was interest already. We knew because you said that I made it, but I didn't produce it.
Okay.
The people who produced it were Jackie Strano and Shar Rednauer.
Okay.
And we all worked at Good Vibrations together in the mid-'90s.
Wow.
This is the backstory of it. And over again, male-female couples would come up and look at the harnesses and dildos and ask for help and say, is there a book about this, or is there a video about this? And there was no book or video. So the people at the store maybe didn't start their jobs thinking lots of the guys in America wanted to get done up the bum, but it turned out that plenty of guys already had that idea.
Right.
And it just so happened that my partner and I already had that experience.
Right.
And my partner is one of the biggest anal sex lecturer, teacher, expert,
Is he really? That's
partisan
right. Okay.
guys in the universe and has been doing this kind of teaching for decades now. And so Shar and Jackie and Robert and I talked about whether or not we could put together a movie, and we did. And the lesbian porn company Fatale was the company that actually brought it out.
Wow. Oh, that's so
So
funny.
it's boy butts through a lesbian company, which seems perfect somehow.
Yeah,
in a
somehow it works.
funny, great way. And we found a couple of other couples who wanted to check it out, do it too. Actually, we put one of the two couples together that wanted
Okay,
to
why not?
try,
For
and then the
video?
other one was a real life couple. And Bend Over Boyfriend was for years the best selling sex video at Good Vibrations.
Wow,
It
that's
just-
amazing.
There
It's
was
really
more
good.
going
Gotta
on out
see it.
there than we knew.
How do you get your partner so if a guy's not interested in it, let's say, but you think like it could, like a lot of men, let's say straight men, are not interested in it. Like they think, no, it's horrible. But what would you say the benefits are?
Well, the benefits are one, pleasure.
Right.
The prostate
But they
is
could be missing.
the prostate is best addressed and accessed through anal penetration, and the prostate is a pleasure part of the body, and it's comparable to the G-spot. It's homologous, as we
Right.
sexologists like to say.
Homologous, I love it.
It's a homologue, but that does not mean it's homo, which is another reason I think that some guys are
Yes,
worried. I
that's
mean,
what
I think that there's this.
But I think they're missing out.
There's this association with sexual orientation that the behavior, people think that gay men have anal sex, therefore any anal sex on a man is gay. And of course, gay is about the gender of the partner that you do what you do with. And if the partner, gender of the partner is male and you're man, then that you could probably call gay or bi,
Right.
certainly. And if the gender of the partner is female, then that is called heterosexuality. Frisky heterosexuality, perhaps, but it's straight to do
Right.
if the person doing it with you or to you is female. So there you have it. That's
Right.
that's
Exactly.
the deal.
And
Plus this thing about, it's going to hurt. If you do it right, no, it doesn't.
It's not going to hurt, right? Lots of lube. And it's male prostate. Like you might be missing out on this whole experience, man. It's this whole unbelievable, earth-shattering experience that you never had.
Yeah, but I don't think it should be forced on anybody. If
Oh, no.
somebody's
I'm not
into
forcing
it.
it
No, no,
on
no.
you.
Yeah, but I'm not into it.
No.
But you keep on trying to sell it to me like you're selling
I
me a
don't
used
know.
car, like your ex-boyfriend.
No, you can't
He's not
really.
an ex-boyfriend.
You can't
He
really
wasn't an
force.
ex-boyfriend.
You can't really.
He was
You can't successfully force any kind of anal penetration on another person.
Yeah.
You can't do
There-
it in such a way that the person will voluntarily want to come back and do it again.
Right.
And any other kind is somewhere on the abuse rape continuum. The best you can say for it is a couple of people who didn't know enough how to do it right, did it wrong the first time, and it probably wasn't as good as it could have been.
Right.
That's the very best you can say for a situation like that. And the good thing is there is so much pleasure available, and there is so many resources to help people do it
So many, right.
that if somebody doesn't want to do it, then they don't want to do it, and
Right.
then you go, well, okay.
Right.
But I think if for women who do want to talk guys into it, there are a couple of things that they could say. Do you want to try this kind of pleasure that you've never tried before? Is one. Don't you want to know what it feels like for me? And
Right.
I want to be able to share the experience of what it's like. And many couples find that that's super intimate, super hot,
Right.
and of course, probably some guys don't want to know how it feels.
Right.
I mean,
Exactly.
it's a great thing to know how it feels, but
Yeah, some guys are like, no, thanks. You could take that. I'm not going to go there.
Dr. Jack Morin, who is a local therapist who wrote the book on anal sex, anal pleasure, and health,
Okay.
very first resource like this that ever was, wrote it in the very early 80s, did some research and found that pretty much anybody can have good, pleasurable anal sex if they personally want to.
Right.
If they are doing it to please someone else or they don't want to, the psychology that gets you to be able to relax just doesn't come into play because
Right,
then
right.
they'll be tense, nervous, worried, tense down, pain.
Exactly.
And that will be a vicious circle.
Not to get off the anal sex subject real quick, but you were talking about Good Vibrations in the early 90s, and it just struck me. Did you or you might not even heard of this person, but the artist Krayshawn, her mother worked for Good Vibrations in the 90s.
Really?
So she's a popular musician.
I
and-
did not know that.
Yeah,
Do you know what her mom's name was?
No, I'm sure if I went online right now,
I
I
could try to figure that out.
I could-
That's awesome.
Yeah, and it's funny because she's been doing she's been she does a lot of interviews, and people bring this up.
That's so
and
cool.
she
that's so
talks
funny.
about
Didn't
I had
know
never
that.
heard that.
she was a kid in the warehouse doing homework and stuff like that. Her mom worked at Good Vibrations.
I probably walked past this kid at some point.
Exactly.
Yeah,
That's so funny.
she's a very popular musician.
love
so I'll
Good
look about
Vibes.
it when we go on to
They're
the
awesome.
subject, and I'll try to pull up her mom's.
Okay,
so
well,
cool.
I have another question. Well, we're gonna wrap up in a few, but this is a question. I had some questions on Facebook. I asked some people like, "What would you want to talk to Carol Queen?" And this is a question that comes up a lot. So I think it's a good one. If you are used to vanilla sex but want to try something new, how do you move outside your comfort zone with your partner or without your partner in general?
Well, I think that one of the things you do is you research a little bit the kinds of things that you might want to try.
Right.
You don't just, stick an ad, a personal ad somewhere and say, "Hey, I've never done kinky stuff. Come
Right.
on, do kinky stuff to me," because you don't know who and what you get when you do that. So you read some erotica, you check out the how-to books and the videos that suggest different kinds of ways to play, and just do the response test of when you're watching or reading this stuff. Go, what really turns you on the most?
What turned you on? What do you remember? What's like getting your blood boiling?
If you got a partner already, share that material with them. Go, "Oh my God, watch this. I thought this was so sexy when I
Right.
watched this." And then you've either got an enthusiastic partner who goes, "Oh, wow, that's hot too. Let's figure out how to do it." Or you've got somebody who doesn't necessarily, but at least you've got some communication rolling. And sometimes people who want to try new things set up a sort of a little tit for tat thing with their partners and go, "Well, what would you want to try? What do I want to try? Let's try both of those things."
Yeah, exactly. It's like just talking about it and having that dialogue. It's like sitting down and being, "Okay, what's your fantasy? What have you thought about?"
Your very
Couples
first
don't
writer,
do it.
in fact, the one who doesn't want to have sex as often. I mean, that's one thing that she could try with her
Right,
partner. It's like,
exactly.
"Hey, what if we have sex the way we usually do it half the time, and we have this other kind of sex that I've been thinking
Exactly.
about the other half the time?"
And it does help to bring in other materials or whatever it is, if it's porn, erotica, whatever it is, to figure out if you don't know. She might be like, "Well, I don't really know, but I just know that I'm not getting what I want," which I think of how a lot of people feel. Like
Yeah.
they're like, "I know there's more to this, or I could be getting more, but I'm not sure." It's like just explore and see what hits you.
If you're in a place where there are classes, take classes.
Right.
Good Vibes has classes. The Center for Sex and Culture that I direct has classes.
Center for Sex and Culture. That's another thing. Carol spearheaded, started, founder of the Center for Sex and Culture.
And if they live in a city, there is some kind of kinky group, or a lot of times the kinky people have events called munches. If you look up munch,
munches.
like
Didn't know that.
lunch or brunch with an M on the front. That's sort of the meetup, and
munches. Of
it usually
course that's what
happens
it
at a
is.
cafe or something. So you're safe, you're in public. There's the side room of the cafe. All of a sudden, all the kinky people go in there and just meet each other and order a little coffee.
At every town, you can find the munchers.
And just look around to see if there are people around who are into some things that you're not into, and maybe there's a whole infrastructure of parties and classes and people to meet. And
Right. Once you meet one or a few people, you just get into it. It'll happen.
And if you
fall
live
right
in a smaller town that doesn't have that kind of stuff, think about where you're going to travel
Right.
next time you go on vacation.
Exactly. San
some
Francisco.
research.
Come to San Francisco. Menace, did you have one more question?
No.
Okay.
You can-
I think we're done.
yeah.
Carol Queen. So nice having you on the show. What's the best website for you?
Well, people
You have
can
a lot of
ask
websites.
me questions.
Okay,
if they,
perfect.
I know people want to ask you questions,
No,
of course,
ask
but if
Carol
anybody does
questions.
want to, get a Q&A
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
a thing with me, I do it on the Good Vibes website, goodvibes.com.
Okay.
You take the left-hand toolbar, you scroll all the way down till you get to Ask Our Docs.
Okay.
And Charlie Glickman and I are PhDs who spend some of our time answering questions.
Great.
And if people want to come to events at Good Vibes, those are on the top toolbar all the way to the right under Sex 101, and you can find out where the stores are and what's going
Okay.
on. Charlie and I teach at the stores all the time. And then I'm often at the Center for Sex and Culture, and then I bounce around, and next week I'm going to Boston University, Yale, and Harvard. And
Fun. And you came here
talking to
first.
some smart students
Oh
about
my God!
sex
Well, you could. You're
and-
warming up with not so
I am
smart students.
you all are
No,
super
we're
smart,
awesome.
and I really love hearing from your listeners. It's
Oh,
wonderful.
Good. I'm so glad. Thank you for helping, and thank you for being here, Carol.
You bet.
So
There
great.
was a
You're gonna come back
time
soon.
when there was not that much out there for people who had questions and were
Right.
curious and wanted to hear some good wholesome sex talk.
Good
and
wholesome
thanks
sex.
for
That's what we
helping
try to
that
do every day.
happen.
Oh, you're welcome. And thank you, Menace.
Thank you.
It's great to see you today.
You too.
Thanks, everyone, for listening to Sex with Emily. Was it good for you? Email me, feedback@sexwithemily.com.